Could L from Death Note like realistically figure out who Agent 47 is? And yeah, don't expect this to be some big like good point proven theory. I'm just doing some random dumb thing in the middle of summer. Don't expect much. But first, to figure this out, I started to think. So a lot of the people that Agent 47 kills actually do have confirmed deaths in like cutscenes. If you actually watch cutscenes and don't skip them. I have seen a few, and normally I skip them, but it's not the point. The point is, Victor Novikov, I still don't know how to say this guy's name. In Untouchable, a flashback shows that it's canon that the rig fell on him, so that death is confirmed. Jordan Cross, there is say. So for Jordan Cross, there are some callbacks in the Miami dialogue when 47 impersonates Abel D. Silva and plays in the band, which strongly points towards the roof and atrium elimination. However, there are some bullet wound reports that do conflict it. So I don't exactly know where it would be, because it shows in one of the cutscenes that on a news report, Jordan Cross was shot dead. But then when you play through a Miami map, right, you impersonate the guy in the band, it does mention about the roof, like him falling off. So I'm not entirely sure. But for this one, I'm gonna go with the bullet wound one, because my favorite path for the Jordan Cross kill is when you like sit in his room and then shoot him. Yeah. For Eric Solders, it's confirmed that he died during a robot surgery. So the one when you dress up and what's it called? Dress up and what? Dude, I forgot the word. Dress up and sabotage the death. When you dress up and sabotage the robotic surgery, and oh my gosh, I can't say his names. Alexa Carsile in Dartmoor, it's proof that she falls off the balcony, because it's kind of the only like story route you could do to kill her, I'm pretty sure. Otherwise, it's kind of just shooting her. Actually, there is the one where you push her in the grave, but I feel like the one where you make her kill herself makes more sense. The one where you make her fall off the balcony makes more sense. Because Agent 47 likes to be mysterious, doesn't want to be caught, you know. Thomas Cross, his death and funeral are explicitly part of the story following Jordan Cross's assassination, so just confirmed he's dead. Lucas Gray, his death is oh my gosh, I can't talk. Lucas Gray's death is explicitly shown in End of an Era. It's the one where, you know, he himself. Arthur Edwards, part of the Constant, his death is different depending on the ending of the Untouchable. So he does have a confirmed death, but you know, not really. So there's only a few actual deaths that are confirmed from what I've seen, that like there's strong evidence around them that have ways of the characters dying. So now, how would L link all this? Well, first of all, if you notice, there aren't just random civilians being randomly killed, like low-tier criminals and stuff. They are pretty big criminals. They're corporate executives, politicians, intellectual figures, cartel members, wealthy people, just anyone involved in any sensitive organization. Now, Jordan Cross is a really good example for this. Why would a famous musician randomly be murdered? Then Thomas Cross becomes involved. And that's a chain. Rather than a random murder, some deaths will look impossible accidents. I mean, think about this. A whole freaking chandelier of lights falling on some guy. That's hard to say it's an accident. It's probably something sabotaged. Now, all this stuff is probably one of L's stronger clues to prove his point. How many coincidences will he be willing to accept? When it comes to the Kira case, he doesn't seem to take too many coincidences as, yeah, just coincidence. He seems to link it all back to Light. So this does really give us the point that I would eventually notice, why do unrelated targets keep on dying inside locations with extremely restricted access? I mean, think about it. Every Hitman map, except for I guess one of them, is a really hard to get into place. How are people dying here? I feel like the only one that wouldn't be hard to get into would kind of be Paris. I mean, there's a few that would seem easy to get into too, but Paris itself is pretty easy judging by its party for rich people. But still, that doesn't mean anyone can just enter. Now, he would probably figure out the assassin doesn't seem to have an obvious motive between killing really rich people. Like, if Novikov dies, who benefits? If Nox dies, who benefits? If I can't say these names, man. If the Delgado dies, who benefits? Sometimes there's an obvious benefit for this, but these aren't entirely obvious benefits. The target just keeps on changing, suggesting that the killer isn't personally targeting these people. They're being contracted. The victims have completely different enemies. It's not like one person's hiring one to kill another, because some are politicians, some are drug lords, some are celebrities, some are scientists, some are corporate executives, intelligence operatives, you know, all the stuff. There isn't one obvious revenge motive connecting them. So, let's say L makes a hypothesis. Someone is targeting these for another party. The killer repeatedly leaves extreme to little evidence. Normally, L expects murderers to leave something, like how if the Kira case, he was obviously killing people around the world, but then when suspects started to be made, it started limiting to just Japan, therefore making it obvious where Kira is. L doesn't need a photograph of Agent 47. He just has to notice that the perpetrator repeatedly enters the facility under false identities. But who is the face behind the identity? Because now we do know that Agent 47 himself doesn't entirely have an identity. He's not a real person in the sense. He doesn't have an identity. He's a fake one as, what is it? Tobias Reapers or something, I think. But besides that, he doesn't have a real identity. That's the fake one he uses. So, if L doesn't get a clear photo of his face, he has no way to actually track down Agent 47. The only thing you do is by noticing security cameras, which would show that suddenly some workers start to go off different paths they normally would, and he might be able to get a face there, though it might be harder to see because most disguises have something over on your head covering your face. You would eventually become to notice. But a bigger problem is, if investigators start to realize that someone was impersonating staff, or someone's using another person's identity, L could realize that the killer wasn't simply sneaking in. The killer was becoming someone who belongs there to get closer to the targets. Because Agent 47 repeatedly... Oh my gosh, bro. Agent 47 repeatedly operates around guards, cameras, restricted area, security checkpoints, biometric systems, and private compounds. Yet, somehow he gets through. So L could conclude, this person has extraordinary infiltration capabilities. If L maps the murders, he'll see something pretty cool. They occur across the entire world. That immediately suggests either it's a large international organization or an individual with extraordinary international mobility. There's no evidence to support either one of these. Timing between the deaths could reveal contracts L could examine when the target dies, and what date, what time, all this stuff to figure out that there is definitely gaps between it, meaning it's not a bunch of people at once, and it's most likely someone moving around the world. Because if it was multiple people at once, many people would be dying at the same time, but with these deaths, it's more spaced out. And it also seems the assassin has no emotional attachment to any of the victims. This is very unlike most serial killers. There's no signature message, trophy, ritual, personal obsession, consistency with the victim type. So this would definitively prove to L that it's not a serial killer. It is definitely an assassin. Now L's hypothesis is I can't say that word, man, I'm too dyslexic. L's hypothesis could be that 1. These deaths are not independent, then someone is deliberately eliminating these individuals. Victims have no common personal relationship. Therefore, the killer is being hired. The killer repeatedly infiltrates high security environments. The killer uses false identities. The killer operates internationally. The killer is exceptionally skilled at avoiding detection. There must be an organization providing contracts for that. And that's what L has efficiently discovered, that there is an assassin like Agent 47. He still doesn't know who or what. That's the crucial distinction. What's the really scary part of Agent 47 is the really scary part for 47 would be L doesn't actually need to catch 47 first. He could set up a trap. L believes that there are professional assassins retrieving contracts. He could deliberately make a situation where fake target has become extremely valuable. Then he waits. The person suddenly becomes the subject to assassination attempt. L knows someone took the contract. Now L has the opportunity to catch the assassin in the act. That's where the matchup gets really nasty, because L's greatest strength isn't forensic investigation. I don't know if I'm reading my own script right, dude. I wrote this like 2 days ago, man. And I'm dyslexic as hell. Whatever. So, let's figure out how L could use that to, find 47 better, because it'll make 47 more vulnerable, because he doesn't have as much things helping hide him. Now, let's say that after the IC gets leaked, because that's what happens if files are sent worldwide, that L would notice that none of the people that have been killed by this shadow hitman assassin is in the files. Now, L wouldn't conclude that Agent 47 is the ICA. He'd probably think someone has deliberately removed him, because we could tell by the ICA database that these people specialize in killing people just like who Agent 47 was killing. So now that he has the assumption that someone has removed Agent 47 from the database, he might start asking, why is there a hole? The ICA has records of thousands of operations, but one apparent assassin is no record, or well, a few apparent victims that have seemingly be killed by one assassin is no record. L would have to investigate the absence himself. Who could delete the records? L would have to determine what level of access was required to erase information. If one tiny number of people could do it, the suspect pool becomes a lot smaller. When did the deletion happen? This is massive. If you could figure out when the deletion happened to a particular point in time, you can compare that timestamps against ICA personal movements, major ICA operations, Agent 47's known activity, ICA leadership changes, server acts, and people who disappeared afterwards. That creates a timeline. Why were the victims' records erased too? This is arguably even more suspicious. If L already knows that Jordan Cross, Viktor Novikov, Robert Knox, etc. died under suspicion any circumstance, but then the ICA database contains no corresponding contract records, you realize someone isn't merely hiding an assassin, they're hiding an entire operational history. Now this can help L exploit the victims, where the investigation gets really good. L has a real-world debt. L already has a real-world debt, so he doesn't need the ICA to tell him someone killed someone. He could build his own database. Jordan Cross, suspicious death. Viktor Novikov, suspicious death. Robert Knox, suspicious death. Silver Kurzweil, suspicious death. Yeah, basically everyone that's been killed, suspicious death. What do these people have in common? They repeatedly have correspond to a known ICA agent, but the leaked ICA files mysteriously contain no attachment to them. L now has one huge contradictory reality. These people were killed. The ICA records have no assassin responsible. Conclusion. Someone has deliberately removed the assassin's identity. And here's the really clever part. L could come to compare... oh my gosh, man. Here's the really clever part. L could compare the deletion patterns to supposed leaked files. Let's say L looks at every single file listed by number. Let's hypothesize that every single contract in the ICA is listed by a number. Then he'd obviously notice, let's say, Contract number 2564. 2566. It would skip 2565 because that would be Agent 47's file. So then he'd ask, why are there deleted records? And this would eventually help him discover they're all associated with the same undefined operative, which would lead him to the point that Agent 47 was actually in the ICA and seemed to have left, and all files have been deleted on him. Now, he still doesn't know the name Agent 47, of course. And then L would start to go outside the ICA. L can investigate the victims independently, every suspicious death, who was seen near them, who has entered the building, who left, who identifies, blah 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 blah. And then, after all this stuff, behavior of multiple cases, L has his assassin. One of the possibilities is L might eventually realize something like the ICA has no records of Agent 47. The ICA have no records connecting him to the victims, yet the victims' deaths correspond perfectly with this mystery person. Someone intentionally removed the operative. But now, let's say we have everything we have, let's put all the pieces together. L's best chance to magically find Agent 47 through deleted files, probably not the best thing. But, let's see. Let's start listing L's plans as phases in a way. So phase 1, he would obviously realize something was erased, like I covered earlier. Now, he wouldn't know who did it, who deleted it, but I think, knowing L, he'd have some suspicion that whoever's been killing these people is the one that deleted the files. At this point, L doesn't even need a name. He just needs to create a profile of the unknown killer. Now, phase 2, he would reconstruct 47 from the victim's deaths. He'd treat them who was the target, where they die, who had access, identities present. Identities are... I just dropped something. Okay. Okay, as I was saying. Who was the target? Where did they die? Who had access? What identities were present? Who disappeared from the scene? What evidence is inexplicably missing? I'm so sorry if you're trying to watch this and understand what I'm saying. I really can't read today for some reason. Eventually I would notice the patterns over and over. Hard target value, impossible infiltration, target dies, infiltrator disappears. Now we know there's one extremely skilled assassin rather than a bunch of unrelated killers, which he probably would have figured out earlier, but I'm just listing it off as in a row, not using previous facts, you know? I'm sorry if this doesn't make sense. I'm trying my best, guys. Phase 3. You need to find a physical profile of Agent 47. This is where Agent 47's disguises would start working more against him. L wouldn't search for Agent 47, he more search for who's the person behind the disguises. Like I said earlier, he would compare security camera footage to see which guards are starting to act weird. He could also use witness descriptions, like people that were nearby during the kill, and ask if they saw any security or anyone acting suspicious. He could use travel records, passport information, which I don't think the passport one would work now that I think about it, because I feel like he travels private. No, actually, he does use a public airport in one of the cutscenes. I'm just thinking of the freelance mode after what's it called? I don't know. I can't really think. It's 2 a.m., dude. I need to sleep more. Anyways, he would also be able to compare surveillance footage, all that stuff. Eventually he would notice something strange. Different identities appear around different murders, but there's a reoccurring inconsistency in height, build, movement, or timing. One physical description keeps recurring. A tall, bald man. That's when L starts getting somewhere. Now, he just has to find 47's origin to determine who this is. He could investigate whether in 47's birth records, medical records, DNA, fingerprints, childhood records, military records, or even passport history. And this is the unfortunate problem. Agent 47 doesn't entirely have an identity. You know? L could eventually discover that the mysterious assassin is biologically history. Okay. L could eventually discover that the mystery assassin's biological history is tied to Dr. Otto Wolfgang Ortemeyer and the cloning program. Is that his name? I kind of just copy and pasted his name off Google. Whatever. If L gets that far, he doesn't just know there is an assassin, he knows there is an exceptionally unusual man whose existence has been deliberately concealed, and he has been made just for one reason: to kill. Now this is an enormous leap. Now, phase 5. L sets up the trap. Most important part, L should not try to physically chase 47. He should make 47 come with him. Creates a fake target. Let's say intelligence leaks. A huge imported criminal is where he's served. He's supposedly extremely wealthy, heavily protected, involves international crime, and works enormously assassin contracted. Now, you might be thinking, well, Agent 47 is dumb. He wouldn't know not to kill this. But L could simply just say that all of the sudden, this target has quote-unquote information about a genetically cloned good assassin, and that would instantly make Agent 47 have to kill him to hide his cover. Like usual, you have to do it as a hidden accident kill. So, I would deliberately make this information public so everyone knows that this person seems to have information on some shadow assassin that was a genetically cloned human. And the building that the person would be hiding in would be monitored. Entries is watched, every identity entering is checked, every vehicle is tracked, every suspicious employee is investigated. It's a trap. L doesn't even need to know what this guy's Agent 47 will use. He just needs to detect anomalous behavior, and to stop a sniper kill from far away. I'm pretty sure he'd put windows on the building, I don't know. And then Agent 47 would probably realize this is a trap. This is where the matchup becomes amazing, because Agent 47 is smart enough to know something isn't right. Approach the target's location, observe the security, notice something unusual, and simply leave. That happens, L loses, and L learns something important. The assassin recognizes the trap, which makes his profile even stronger, so L would change his tactics. Instead of making the target obviously valued, L creates a situation where Agent 47 doesn't know it's a trap. For example, a completely ordinary looking contract, nothing suspicious. The target is somewhere in public, security appears normal, but the information found through unbelievably intermediary. But every possible escape route is security monitored. 47 accepts, he enters, disguises himself, gets close, and then L doesn't try to catch him as a target. He tracks the exit. Hold on, wait, before I continue, I need water. My mouth is so dry. Okay, now, the moment L finally catches him, 47 completes the assassination. He starts leaving, but L has already predicted the likely extraction routes. Cameras follow him, transportation is monitored, false identities are cross-referenced, and eventually, Agent 47 reaches the location where every exit is covered. L doesn't necessarily send police screaming in immediately. He wants confirmation. He sets up a camera captures the man removing his disguise. L finally sees it. Agent 47. That's the moment that the entire investigation clicks. But there's an even better way. If L was really being L, he doesn't need to wait for another murder. He could use Diana. If L's already figured out that Diana is connected to the erased assassin, he could just quietly investigate her, because she's more of a public figure, you know? And ICA, unknown assassin, erased records, WOA deaths. He would link all those together. He'd realize Diana knows exactly who he is, so instead of pursuing Agent 47, L would follow Diana. And eventually, Diana leads him straight to 47. That's probably the cleanest route. So, in the end, I almost said in the L, oh my gosh. L's investigation will confirm suspicious deaths, pattern detected, professional assassin hypothesis to ICA identified. ICA files would be leaked because Agent 47 leaks them after leaving. 47 seems to not exist. Deletion itself becomes evidence. Victims reconstructed independently. Agent 47's behavior profile created. Physical profile established. ICA survivors / Diana investigation. Agent 47 narrowed down. L creates a fake contract. 47 takes the bait. L catches him. This gives a legitimate chance of catching 47, and 47 continues accepting contracts. But if 47 says, "I'm done killing people," and genuinely disappears forever, L kind of has a much harder problem. At that point, L has to find a man who has no reason whatsoever to reveal himself, and honestly, that version of 47 might actually beat L. But realistically, I don't think Agent 47 would just stop killing, so yeah, L would just catch him, and I think L's cooler, so he wins anyways.